Sakurai and the dev team thought it was a good idea to buff plenty of zoners, but one in particular baffles me, and that is going to be Zelda. I never really had a super high opinion of Zelda. I thought she was very mediocre at best, probably a little worse than mediocre, but this 7.0 patch changes a lot. Like a lot. I think this character is quite the threat. Now, I want to go over all of her buffs, why they matter, and also, I don't really play Zelda a whole lot, and I've barely touched her. I basically only watch her. So I did ask the opinion of Ven, arguably the best Zelda, probably the best Zelda, especially at least in the United States. So he kind of validated my opinions, and I asked him a couple questions about Zelda in general and why some buffs mattered, and he answered. So please go check Ven out. He's crazy. He's one of the best. He's such a good player. He beat me before. He's beat several other players before. Check him out. But anyway, back to the video. I think Zelda is crazy, so let's go over some of those buffs. First off, for forward tilt, does more damage and sends farther. Neutral air now hits a little bit more reliably. Up air has a bigger range. It is out for longer. It has a weaker sour spot, but a stronger sweet spot. The side B, being Din's Fire, is now bigger in the sweet spot and it lasts longer. Down special, being the Knight or the Phantom, does more damage and sends farther, and she got the shield size buff, although that doesn't really matter. So I want to go over each of those buffs one by one and really point out the ones that matter a lot, because some of them are significantly more important, and again, Ven's opinion is also some of these as well, so let's get into it. So first off, Zelda's forward tilt doing more damage and being stronger, it's just kind of an icing on the cake when it comes to Zelda. Again, she doesn't really struggle to kill, that is not the area that she struggles in, but obviously having a quick move that is going to be a little bit less laggy and give people more time to react to punish, that is a kill move obviously, that's going to help a decent amount. Dash back F tilt is a move, obviously you can catch ledge jumps with it. However, I'm not exactly sure what the use of this move is over forward smash. It is a little bit safer on shield compared to forward smash, and it is, I think, 4 frames faster, but I feel like forward smash is just better and it's bigger. But I do think that F smash in general is going to be the move you want to whiff punish with, considering it pulls you backwards and then puts your palm forward, which that's a big deal. Forward tilt doesn't really do that as much, it doesn't weave you out of the way, but also you can obviously angle it up and down, which is going to be nice to hit short characters or to hit people that are approaching you in the air. So that's definitely a big deal, but I do think that F tilt is one of the more minor buffs. Again, is more an icing on the cake type of thing, or a cherry on top. It's not really necessary. Granted, again, I don't think any of these buffs are necessary, because I'm totally fine with Zelda being bad, but now this character, again, definitely pretty good, but let us continue with the buffs. Nair connecting more reliably is actually going to be a big deal, because now this move can be used off stage as a kill move. Ven specifically mentions, because again, it does linger quite a bit, so if you know someone has to fall in a specific area, you can just run off and do Nair. Someone that doesn't have a hitbox on their recovery, let's say Rosalina and Luma, it's going to be better against tether characters, because basically the only way to edgeguard as Zelda before was to use her lingering down air, which granted is a good option, but it's not going to be nearly as big of a move as neutral air, so now it's going to be a lot more reliable of a kill move there. But I've heard you can do Nair into fair. I know you can do Nair pop-up hit into fair, which is pretty nice, but Nair up, you can connect a little bit more reliably. There's a couple other combos you can do with Zelda's landing Nair. Again, I don't know everything because I am not a Zelda player, but I've heard it connects a little bit better into a lot of things, so again, very nice. And just again, now it's a better add a shield option, it's a better off-stage option, it's a better just air-to-air in general, because if you don't want to have to space your lightning case, you just throw out an air, and it's going to be a good, reliable move. It is very, very important. Honestly, probably one of the better buffs, just because it kind of fixed something that was lacking in Zelda, as opposed to making her current game plan stronger. Speaking of making her game plan stronger, they made down B stronger with damage and knockback, and I don't really know why. Phantom, one of the more difficult moves in the game to deal with in general, because she can release it at so many different times. I think there's 13 different types of Phantom hitboxes that you can throw out, so a very, very good move. Honestly, what makes Zelda very good in my opinion, and it's just better. So you're going to, be able to mess up less against this character, because you mess up and you get hit by Phantom, okay, sure, but now again, adding 2, 4, 6% to every hit is going to matter, especially considering Zelda kills really early due to a plethora of her other buffs, especially including this one. It's crazy. I don't really know why they buffed Phantom. Again, one of the best moves in the game, one of the more, difficult to deal with moves. It's just so good, and now it's going to be even better better, so we have to be careful. I would say that the side B buff kind of does the same thing, but for the most part, you really shouldn't be getting hit by Din's fire. Zelda's not one of those characters that can just kind of hit it, because you can still ping with it. As far as I'm aware, you can ping with the hitbox when it explodes, so it's really not that good. Also, you can just kind of air dodge through it like every time, because she can't loop it back around to like where like the side that she's sending it on. So just not a great move. Still one of the worst moves in the game, even with these buffs. Didn't really do anything for it. It doesn't make like the explosion faster once you let go. That would have been a pretty big deal, but it's just an underwhelming move even with these buffs, so it doesn't really matter. Granted, if you mess up now, or you like get complacent, now you're gonna die. It's probably really good for doubles, but you know, I'm talking about for singles specifically, so I really don't think it's that big of a deal. And what Ven mentions is Zelda's best buff is going to be up air. Up air got a ton of things done for it. It is now bigger, it has a longer hitbox, like it lasts longer, the sour spot is weaker, which is totally fine, and I think a valid, you know, kind of compromise for the buffs that it got, and of course, it sends farther in the sweet spot. So this move is now really scary because it made her juggling game even more threatening. Because there's a lot of times sometimes you're playing against Zelda and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna try to land on her, I'll take the up air if I'm wrong, but you know, it's okay, it's gonna be okay. Like, it was a strong move, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as scary as, let's say, lightning kick or up B and things like that. But now with the extra strength, the size of it, you know, first off, it's going to make it easier for Zelda to juggle, which is obviously the case. Like, she doesn't have to space quite as precisely, which is nice considering Zelda's air and ground speed are both pretty small, so the fact that it's bigger overall is going to make it a little bit easier to land. Not only that, but it's going to be amazing for offstage pressure. Not, you know, Zelda pressuring the opponent that is offstage, but if Zelda is offstage and someone's trying to approach her, she can do falling up airs to kind of dissuade people from swinging at her. And of course, what a lot of Zeldas will do is like double jump up air through the stage. Robs do that a lot. There's plenty of characters that try to poke through the stage with their moves, but up air now being bigger means you have to respect it even farther, which is kind of crazy because a big way that you're supposed to get a lot of damage on Zelda is by edge guarding and edge trapping this character, and now up air is going to make it a much bigger threat to kind of do what you want against this character when she's in disadvantage, at least below you. Like, it's not going to be as fun to edge guard or edge trap this character because of the threat of up air, because of the better down B. There's a couple of things that just make this a lot harder to deal with, which is going to be a really, really big buff, because again, that was one of Zelda's biggest struggle sections, was like off stage, when she's off stage having to recover or get back on stage. Granted, she's still not the greatest character at getting back off of the ledge, but it's going to be easier now. You have to respect her a little bit more, and again, her getting one or two more like neutral times is going to be huge, considering her neutral is so strong, especially considering the fact that Phantom and Nair got buffed. Like, it all kind of adds up. And honestly, to me, the shield buff doesn't really matter. I don't really think Zelda was a character getting shield poked a lot in the first place, so I mean, it matters a little bit because of course you will get shield poked less, but still fairly not that relevant of a buff. And you know, I mentioned this with a lot of the other characters, unless you're like Olimar or Fox, like I don't think the shield buff really matters that much. So now with these buffs, I do think that Zelda's game plan that she was already doing got a lot stronger. Again, Phantom being stronger, forward tilt being stronger, is going to make approaching her a lot more difficult, and it was already fairly difficult in the first place. You know, I do think that up air is the most important buff due to the fact that it kind of creates a less weak spot for her, because offstage again was a really bad position for her, and now she won't have as much of a weakness when she's offstage due to the threatening up air, because that move will kill super early and it's huge, so it hits farther in the stage than you expect, so you have to respect it. However, Zelda still does have some flaws. She still can't really land that well. You know, basically she's gonna have to air dodge or down air or like Nehru's Love her way down, which isn't going to be the greatest option. You know, if she's losing, she still doesn't have a lot of approach options, although I do think that weakness is kind of overblown by a lot of people, because it's like, cool, you're camping her, so she's going to run to center stage and then start down being where you have to start respecting it and guessing, so it's not exactly that good of a position when you're fighting against a Zelda, unless you are an incredibly mobile camper, in which case it's probably just a bad matchup for Zelda in the first place. You know, her disadvantage is still fairly weak, which is going to stop her from being an incredibly powerful character, but honestly, my gut feeling when I read these buffs is like, oh god, Zelda's like a low high tier slash really high mid tier now, like on that cusp, kind of like where Sheik was before the patch. And you know, Ven definitely agrees. Ven says like the bottom of high tier slash the very, very top of mid tier. So this is a very scary character. I do think these buffs are very influential for her. They really matter. Nair, up air, down B, really huge buffs, like key buffs that are going to make Zelda an incredibly threatening character in this game. I'm not looking forward to fighting her because I didn't really like that matchup in the first place. I just don't think it's fun, own, but, you know, they're rare enough that I think I respect all the Zelda players. I know Ven took a game off of Leo at Congo Saga. Other Zeldas have made waves, but it's mostly Ven. He's just amazing. I know, like, Riziasu from Japan, the guy who plays random, like, mains Zelda when he doesn't want to go random. So this character may get a spike in usage. I know Samsora's trying to play the character, but I don't know how his secondaries kind of work, because he always, like, picks up characters then drops them. So I don't know if he's as serious with it. But again, Zelda being better means that more players will probably try to pick her up, because she is very overwhelming if you don't know the matchup. She is definitely, in my opinion, one of the best characters in the game if you do not know the matchup. Again, she still has flaws, so if you pick those apart or you're a character with really strong juggling, you know, you will still do well versus her, but again, it is harder to find those holes now, and she is definitely looking like a threat. And I mean, just what do y'all think? Do you agree with me? And again, I did ask Ven's opinion of this, so I did not want to just kind of spout this out there without really knowing what I was talking about, because I do not play Zelda. So again, go check out Ven. Please follow his Twitter. He's amazing. And yeah, that's going to be about it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. As I mentioned in my Samus video, I will be going over basically all the characters that got buffs, except maybe Doc, because he still kind of sucks. But if y'all want that video, please let me know down in the comments. As always, social media, PANDA, and partner stuff is down below, and I will see you all next time.